It's 10 o'clock. This is Sky News at 10, our top story. The Home Office looks to Denmark to help cut illegal migration, with a major shakeup expected later this month. Also ahead.
It's not my fault. They released me legally. The judge, he told me you are released.
The Chief Inspector of Prisons slams the system over the number of inmates freed by mistake. After last weekend's mass train stabbing, a barber whose team was threatened tells Sky News he believes the attack could have been prevented. One family's long quest for justice as a former British soldier faces extradition over a Kenyan woman's murder 13 years ago.
Agnes was a human being, and the rights of a person must be respected. So I'm going to continue pushing. I'm not yet done with them.
In the Premier League, Sunderland end Arsenal's winning run after a 2-2 draw at the Stadium of Light. And we'll take a first look at tomorrow's front pages in our press preview from 10:30. Good evening. The Home Office is looking across the North Sea for inspiration on how to tackle illegal migration. Sky News understands Denmark's policies are considered some of the toughest in Europe. And after Sir Keir Starmer's visit to Copenhagen last month, it's understood the government is considering adopting similar laws here. Our political correspondent Amanda Akas reports.
Sir Keir Starmer and Denmark's Mette Frederiksen, both centre-left politicians challenged by right-wing parties on illegal migration. But the Danish Prime Minister has been able to face down her opponents with a series of hardline policies. The number of successful asylum claims has fallen to a 40-year low in Denmark. And now, amid growing public anger about small boats and asylum hotels, the Home Office is keen to learn.
Denmark is seen as one of the toughest countries in Europe for dealing with asylum claims. And what's even more interesting, that it's a democratic socialist leadership.
Red Wall MPs have welcomed this change in approach.
We have the growth of Reform who are solely focused on this issue. And if we are going to fill the space where we can actually deliver on our priorities, I think we have to tackle the sight of the boats coming across.
In Denmark, even successful asylum seekers don't get permanent residence rights. They're only given temporary leave to remain for as long as their home countries remain dangerous. And there are tough family reunification rules too. Both the applicant and their spouse must be at least 24 years old. Both have to pass a Danish language test. They're disallowed for claiming any benefits in the past 3 years. They have to put up a financial guarantee of nearly £7,000 and need to live in an independent, reasonably sized residence.
Since getting the job 2 months ago, I understand the new Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, has been looking closely at Denmark and considering a range of policies based on their success at reducing the incentives drawing people to the country and increasing deportations too. A group of her officials travelled to Copenhagen last month to try and learn lessons from their counterparts there, ahead of a major shake-up of the asylum and immigration system expected in the coming weeks.
But many on the left of the party are suspicious about Denmark's more draconian approach, especially given policies like confiscating migrants' jewellery at the border, knocking down apartments where more than 50% of residents are from non-Western backgrounds. Experts warn it might not even work.
It's definitely going to be very hard to take a package of policies from Denmark and apply them to the UK context. Perhaps for people who are economic migrants who may have been willing to misuse the system, who had other options. But for people who are genuine refugees, they have a real fear of persecution, and they may have a real reason for wanting to go to the UK, like networks, like they'll speak the English language.
The government's made big promises on illegal migration.
I will do whatever it takes.
Their future depends on whether they can deliver.
And Amanda joins us now from Westminster. Amanda, what else are we finding out about the possible policies that the UK might copy from Denmark?
Yes, so the Sunday Times has obtained a leaked copy of a Home Office briefing document going through these plans in quite a lot more detail. Obviously, none of this is confirmed by the government, but certainly it looks like they are trying to really tighten the rules around who can gain successful asylum here in the UK. So asylum seekers will have to learn English to a very good standard. They won't be accepted if they've got any kind of criminal record, and they will also be forced to repay the cost of their accommodation while they were waiting for their claims to be decided, and also any benefits that they previously received after they have had their claims approved and then they are able to work. Now, we're also told that the government is looking at reforming the law, particularly the interpretation of the Human Rights Act, the European Convention on Human Rights. Now, this is something that we knew they were already looking at in terms of how to define someone's right to a family life or freedom from torture. There is a view that this has been interpreted too liberally and prevented too many deportations, but apparently they are specifically going to be looking at how they can prevent the courts deciding that someone has a right not to be sent to a prison in another country, or to argue that they shouldn't have hospital treatment in another country because it's worse there. The document also suggests that the government has identified another 14 sites, large-scale holding sites, former military barracks and the like, in order to hold up to 10,000 asylum seekers, in order to speed up this process of trying to close down those controversial asylum hotels, something the government has promised to do by 2029. Now, again, the two sites that they've already announced under this scheme in Inverness and Sussex have both already attracted a huge amount of local controversy, so that's not a simple solution either. Many in the left of the party are deeply uncomfortable about it. Some MPs today describing this focus on Denmark-style policies as racist, as dog whistling to the far right. But this is an interesting approach from the government. We haven't heard much today from Reform UK. We haven't heard much from the Conservatives. These are the kind of policies that they've been advocating for, and the government have clearly decided, given the rising popularity of reform, they need to do something quite radical to tackle the issue.
Amanda Akes, live in Westminster with the latest on that. Amanda, thank you. The Chief Inspector of Prisons has said the number of inmates released by mistake shows that the system is close to breaking point. Charlie Taylor was writing in The Telegraph, where he described the prison service as failing. And it comes after Sky News witnessed the arrest of Brahim Kadur Sharif yesterday. He'd been on the run for more than a week after being released from Wandsworth Prison in error.
Hey, look, the justice of the UK. They release people by mistake. It's not my fault. They release me legally. The judge, he told me you are released.
Why didn't you hand yourself in then? Why didn't you hand yourself in?
Why? Do your job, and you do your job.
See, they threaten me. If anything happen, they threaten me. If anything happen, protection.
And Sadia Chowdhury is with me in the studio for more on that. Sadia, such strong words that the system is close to breaking point. What else did the Chief Inspector of Prisons say?
So this is Charlie Taylor. He is someone who knows our prison systems very well. He goes in routinely to inspect them, and he paints a picture of a dysfunctional system. He talks about one prison in particular, Pentonville Prison, which he says was built for 600 inmates, now housing around 1,200. He said there's a prisoner that he went and saw that was on constant suicide watch, but was being supervised by an officer who was fast asleep. He talks about the noise being intolerable, officers having to shout at prisoners, and the prisoners banging on their walls and their doors. Interestingly, he also says that in a 6-month period, nearly a quarter of prisoners had been released late. Maybe it's by 1 or 2 days, but he says he wasn't given the assurances that some had not been released much later than they were supposed to. So painting a picture of a complete disarray in the system. Here's what he said. He's writing in The Telegraph. He says, the increasing frequency of these embarrassing and potentially dangerous mistakes is not just the result of an overcomplicated sentencing framework. It is a symptom of a system that is close to breaking point. Our inspections repeatedly highlight the failure to keep prisons secure, safe and decent, and to provide the sort of activity that will help inmates get work on release. He continues, prisons have a duty to protect the public by locking up those who are sentenced by the courts, but they also have the responsibility to make those who are incarcerated less likely to reoffend when they come out. Our prison service is failing on both counts. The Ministry of Justice has given us a statement tonight saying that they had inherited a justice system in crisis. They say that they are investing lots of money into this, introducing mandatory, stronger prison release checks. And of course, David Lammy, the Justice Secretary, described it as a mountain to climb, which he says cannot be done overnight. But of course, this comes at a time when the government is under a lot of pressure about those numbers. And we also know that out of the 262 people that were mistakenly released in the year leading up to March 2025, 4 are still at large. So, and 2 of those who were mistakenly released in 2024. So lots of questions about where those 4 people are and why they haven't been apprehended yet.
Absolutely. Sadia Chowdhury, thank you. This time last week, 11 people had just been taken to hospital after a mass stabbing on a London-bound train. Well, the owner of a barber shop in Peterborough, whose staff were threatened twice by the man believed to be responsible, has told Sky News he believes the attack could have been prevented. Staff at the barber's say they were confronted by a man with a knife, but claim that their concerns were not taken seriously. Sky's Shaman Freeman-Powell reports.
We didn't really comprehend until days after that we could have been the victims of the 9 stabbings.
Ibrahim can't help but question whether an attack which saw 10 people stabbed on a train could have been prevented.
I feel like we wasn't took seriously, and I just feel like that does weigh quite heavy on us as a team here, because we feel like if they have took us seriously, would they have stopped the guy, and would the guy been in custody, maybe not been on the train? Who knows? But that's something that sits on us because the police didn't come fast enough to respond.
Members of staff at Ibrahim's barbershop came face to face with a man believed to be responsible for a stabbing rampage in Huntingdon. Not once, but twice. The first time, the man could be seen stood outside the barber's just an hour after he allegedly stabbed a 14-year-old boy. Next minute, he just lashed out to himself, grabbed a knife out of the bag, came in the shop, and luckily Cody already turned beforehand, and he already kind of felt that something was off and ran towards the back. I am very proud of them because they did handle it in the best way possible, because if anything, and they handled it in a way, if they have acted in any other way, would it have turned out differently? Would he have lashed out at them for maybe speaking back to him? Ibrahim wasn't at the shop at the time and was contacted by a member of his team. I actually thought the boys were trying to wind me up because the sort of relationship we have in the shop, bit of banter, bit of wind up, and it was Halloween. So I didn't really take it seriously. And then I kind of tell by the tone in his voice that he sounded a bit distressed. So I rushed to the shop straight away. Time I got here, I just made sure everyone was okay, as you would normally do. He says after checking on his staff and reviewing the CCTV, he called the police around 90 minutes later. But as the suspect was no longer there, police did not attend until the following day when the alleged attacker returned. By the time Cambridge police arrived 20 minutes later, he had left. It wasn't until Sunday, 2 days after the initial call, that the police reviewed the CCTV. That's when I think they kind of realised that it could be the same person, and we ourselves realised that, whoa, it could have been us in that situation. The 32-year-old suspect is due to appear at court in December. In a statement, Cambridge Police said, this matter was already referred to the Independent Office for Police Conduct, but did not meet the threshold for referral. Our internal review continues into any potential incidents relating to events on Saturday. I could just see him standing. But the timeline of events established by police seemed to throw up more questions than answers, as the investigation by the British Transport Police explores whether any other crimes have been committed. Shaman Freeman-Powell, Sky News.
An NHS trust and ward manager will be sentenced next week for health and safety failings after a young woman died in a secure mental health hospital. Alice Figueiredo took her own life at the age of 22, 10 years ago. Earlier this year, a jury found the trust, which runs the facility, did not do enough to prevent her death. And a warning that the following report from our health correspondent Laura Bundock contains references to suicide.
She literally said, the only way I'm going to leave this ward is in a body bag. And it's because she did not feel safe in the environment.
Alice Figueiredo predicted her own death. She was 22 when she took her own life on a mental health ward in 2015 at Goodmayes Hospital in London. The North East London NHS Foundation Trust, known as NELFT, and the ward manager, both convicted of serious health and safety failings in a landmark legal trial.
I don't see why you can step into a secure mental health unit with qualified professional staff to keep you safe, that a person can die in that ward. And it shocks me to the core now. It continues to shock me that as a society we continue to let this happen.
With sentencing due next week, Alice's family are furious. They've never personally received an apology.
Apart from the fact that they should apologise to us on a human level, it makes me worry about the attitude of the organisation. If you can't say sorry, what does that say about your organisation, about any empty words you give us about changes you might have made and lessons you've learned?
The long trial's taken its toll. Alice's parents sat through months of gruelling and graphic evidence.
It's adding trauma on top of the wound that you've already got, the worst wound you can imagine of losing your child. That's very distressing because you know that she's been failed at every point all the way along, and you're also reliving the suffering that she went through.
In a statement, NELFT said, "We're deeply sorry for Alice's death and we extend our heartfelt condolences to her family and loved ones. We have taken significant steps to continually improve the physical and social environment deliberately designed to support recovery, safety, well-being and assist our workforce in delivering compassionate care." For Alice's family, the trial is over, but their grief and suffering goes on.
The deputy CEO said to Jane, "I hope you get some closure." Well, I can tell him for a fact, we got no closure. We just got re-traumatised through 7.5 months.
As a mum, your bereavement doesn't ever end. It changes over years as you go on, but it's unending. The thought that I won't even hear her voice was unbearable, and I still miss it.
Laura Bundock, Sky News.
And if you've been affected by anything we've spoken about, you can contact the Samaritans at any time on 116 123, or you can email joe@samaritans.org. Former Top Gear presenter Quentin Wilson has died at the age of 68 following a short battle with lung cancer. In a statement, his family described him as a true national treasure who brought the joy of motoring into our living rooms. His former Top Gear co-presenters have posted these tributes. Jeremy Clarkson wrote, "I'm far away, so I've only just heard that Quentin Wilson has died. We had some laughs over the years. Properly funny man." And James May said, "Quentin Wilson gave me proper advice and encouragement during my earliest attempts at TV back in the late 90s. I've never forgotten it. Great bloke." The broadcaster Davina McCall has revealed that she had breast cancer and has since had a tumour removed. The TV presenter shared the news on Instagram and used a social media post to urge other women to get checked.
"I'm so relieved to have had it removed and to know that it hasn't spread. My lymph nodes were clear, I didn't have any removed. And all I'm going to do now is have 5 days of radiotherapy in January as kind of an insurance policy. And then I am on my journey to try and stop it ever coming back. It's been a lot. I was very angry when I found out, but I let go of that and I feel in a much more positive place now.
A man in his 20s has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after what's been described as an unprovoked attack in Birmingham. Officers say a woman in her 30s is in a critical condition in hospital with serious neck injuries. The number of people killed in Typhoon Kelmegi in the Philippines has now risen beyond 200. The typhoon flattened thousands of homes and uprooted trees. Worryingly, another typhoon, Fung Won, is also tracking towards the islands and is expected to bring more life-threatening weather in coming days. The family of a Kenyan woman who was killed 13 years ago have told Sky News they have waited far too long for justice. A former British soldier is wanted by Kenyan authorities over the murder of 21-year-old Agnes Wanjiru. But yesterday he told a British court that he will fight extradition. Sky's Charlotte Leeming spoke to Agnes's niece, Esther.
She was lively, she was an extrovert. Agnes was hardworking. I mean, we always miss her presence here because we knew that when she's around, we are safe. And also she used to take care of us. And I think even that is the reason why I took up this role, because she took care of me. Why not ask for her rights?
Agnes Wanjiru was killed in Kenya 13 years ago. The 21-year-old's body found dumped in a hotel's septic tank after she'd allegedly spent an evening partying with British soldiers. She died from a stab wound. On Thursday, former soldier Robert Purkis was arrested in Wiltshire and faces extradition to Kenya on murder charges, something he vehemently denies. Today, Agnes's niece Esther, speaking to us from Kenya, welcomed the development.
I don't think there is any time we have ever thought that we will ever get arrested because of the culture of impunity that was there before. But seeing that things now are changing, we are very happy.
At an extradition hearing at Westminster Magistrates Court yesterday, a Home Office lawyer said Purkis had allegedly told a colleague it was sex that went wrong. Agnes was a single mother who had said she was going to hustle for her baby daughter. She was never seen alive again.
What's it been like for you, with this hanging over you all and as a baby, and now she's grown up without a mother, hasn't she?
She has never spoken about what happened to her mom. Even right now, having conversation about her mom, she's not comfortable. So you can imagine what she always goes through, especially seeing that her mom's case was never taken serious.
Purkis could become the first former or serving British soldier to be extradited to face trial abroad for murder, but he's fighting those proceedings. The next step will be a hearing later this month. For Agnes's family, it's further delays in their fight to find out exactly what happened to her. Charlotte Leeming, Sky News.
Let's get the latest sport now from Selena at Sky Sports News.
Staying connected is vital for business. Sky Business sponsors this report.
Sky Mobile sponsors the transfer window on Sky Sports News.
Right.
Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank was all smiles with his teammates today, but his future still seems somewhat uncertain.
Honest, I'm just sick and tired of this.
The number that was put before me was 50% more than our highest paid player at the time.
Jimmy had the feeling, do they really want me here?
My determination was not to sell Jimmy to that particular club.
It made me look bad in front of the fans. It was not necessary.
The biggest single challenge is how we managed his exit publicly, which probably Jimmy didn't like very much.
He's settling into his new surrounds. The player renamed Judas Floyd Money in the Bank when he was drummed out of Ellen Road.
Don't believe the figures at all. Don't believe the figures at all.
Reading the text last night, that was nothing about money from his agent. Well, Jesus, lads, honestly.
I just think he's greedy.
The perception that people have of me, the difficult person, blah, 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 never there. Sometimes things happen for a reason.
Another day, another summer signing. The delightfully named Gerald Floyd Hasselbank from Boa Vista. Jimmy to his pals.
Have you heard about people like Billy Bremner and Norman Hunter and things like that?
No.
You never heard of them?
No.
You'll find out about them.
Yeah, I will find out, but I never heard of them, no.
They tell me you put Jimmy. They call you Jimmy and that's it, is that right?
Yes, they call me Jimmy in Portugal and that's it. I think in the beginning of the season I'm gonna learn about English football. but I want to make the best of it and score so much goals as possible.
Well, he finished second top goal scorer in Portugal, so he looks as if he's a finisher, which we were lacking goals last season. We'd been out to look at Bruno Ribeiro. We signed Bruno Ribeiro and Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. It was £2 million and he was an unknown. And you think to yourself, you know, is that money well spent? Nobody had heard of him.
George Graham said to me, we've got to go down to Lisbon on the Sunday because we were going to watch this player. The player was Jimmy Hasselbank. I remember seeing him in a very run-down, low-key stadium. You knew straight away, you know, there's something there.
And I remember looking at the back of a bus. I was looking and going, who are them two? Because it said the new attack line for, you know, as I said, the men in white, you know, and they said, who are they? And I remember looking, and it was a picture of me and Jimmy on the thing. I was like, oh my God. It took a while to adjust, but everyone saw he had one thing on his mind, and that was to score goals.
Hasselbank, who loves to hit them when he gets the chance. And he's steered it into the net for the equaliser. Hasselbank has a crack and scores!
Good effort! It's gone in! Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank has scored!
Oh, Hasselbank might get here before Schmeichel. Goal from Leeds United! Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank!
He had a natural ability to hit a ball very hard, and he had so much power. And when he controlled that power, he was like quite unstoppable.
We just realised we'd stumbled on a talent.
He's got that confidence about himself to be able to put himself out there. He wasn't shy from the get-go. We kind of made a good little pairing.
A club that I really, really liked, a city where I really, really enjoyed living, where I've made now lots of friends. I really wanted to stay at Leeds.
Jimmy wasn't sort of shy at making his feelings clear on the QT, and I remember with a few of us journalists pulled him after a game. We were saying, oh, you know, what's going on? Will you be a Leeds player next season? And he basically just said, you can bank on the fact that I won't be a Leeds player.
Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank was all smiles with his teammates today, but his future still seems somewhat uncertain. One newspaper today suggests he feels he ought to be the best paid player at the club. His response to that is brief and to the point.
It is big time rubbish. Honest, I'm just sick and tired of these stupid things.
Will you sit down with the club and talk about a new deal in the summer?
If they want to sit down, yeah, I sit down. I've got still 2 years left of my contract, so 2 years ago I signed a 4-year contract. I was happy to sign it, and I'm still happy that I have this contract. Otherwise, I wouldn't sign that 2 years ago. So, but if they want to talk, we can always talk.
If we do sell Jimmy Hasselbank, we'll do it when we want to do it. As I speak now, Jimmy Hasselbank will be staying here until people are told otherwise. When somebody signs for 4 or 5 years, that it is a 4 or 5 year contract, not when somebody decides that they can get bigger money and then go somewhere else that we can just clear off. That's not right.
When Jimmy arrived at Leeds under George Graham, he had a fantastic season. Scored a lot of goals, so after...
Sky Business sponsors this report.
Well, that was Sky News at 10. Coming up, we'll take a first look at tomorrow's papers in the press preview. When we come back, I'll be joined by broadcaster and commentator Duncan Barks and editor-in-chief of nationalworld.com, Nancy Fielder. Welcome both. And among the stories we'll be discussing, this on the front of the Telegraph. Their headline, BBC to say sorry for doctored Trump speech. We'll be right back.